This is, for me, so I am going to talk about your brain a little bit, and I'm going to talk about a lot of things, but I first need to tell a story about why I can't stand for very long. I'm going to show you that in a second. I am in pain every day. Not the pain of I'm not able to manage my time and attention, but something totally different. It's kind of like a talk about your life, and I had a near-death experience. You really think about your life when this happens. This was August 6th of last year, and I went off the road, and I hit 2 trees head on. And I was so scared. I was trapped in there, and I was trying to say, hey Siri, hey Siri. I didn't even know where my phone was, and I didn't know at that time that both my legs were broken. And I was just sitting there. I was like, God, please, I want somebody to find me. And I couldn't get out because I was trapped. The steering wheel was right here. Hence what, I mean, it took them finally, well, to be honest with you, at that moment that I was sitting there, and it was also raining, at that point, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but at that moment right there, I accepted death. I was like, okay, God, if you want to take me, you can. Like, that's fine. It took them an hour and a half just to get me out. And when I did, any pain you guys have imagined, imagine that like times 100 or more. It was so horrible. And you know, they had to cut my pants, which is a bummer because it was my favorite pair of pants. I have shattered my right foot, both femurs broken, and left tibia, as you can see. I was in a wheelchair for about 6 months, being so sad that I couldn't do the things that you normally do easily, like go to the bathroom easily. I couldn't do any of that. My time was all over the place. I was spending it in places that I shouldn't have been, like literally buying a taxi ride that they had to wheel the wheelchair in, and you know, and of course I was drinking too much. Thankfully I stopped that. That's a whole new story. But it was really hard, and at that moment, if you don't have a big value on where your time and attention is, if you don't value your time and attention at all, you're gonna fritter it away on really stupid stuff. If you don't manage your time and attention, if you don't put value into what your time is, then you're gonna enter a world of pain, which of course I was in. If you think about a knowledge worker, they are usually people with really girly, smooth hands. They get to go to lunch whenever they want. It's usually a knowledge worker. But a world of pain, meaning now you're not going to do all of the things that you said that you were going to do. You're just going to fritter away your afternoon. Even though you wanted to get these things done, you didn't put enough value and enough patience into where your time was going. People say time is money, but you know what? Time is a lot more precious than money, because you can always get more money, but you can't make any more time, and you can't make any more attention. I know that you guys get all this stuff, but really, the point is if you have a horizon of stuff that you've just invited in your life, but you half care about, you're just gonna be going nowhere with that. So really try to focus on what you accept in the projects and tasks that you have. You make sure that it's really, really valuable to you. So there's this stuff that's introduced into your life, right? And what people expect, they have an expectation of you because they don't know what happens inside the black box. So what they expect is the thing you do to get done on time and on budget, right? But ultimately, nobody cares what happens inside the black box, right? They just want to eat the hot dog. They don't care how it got made. I think some of you experienced this on some level. Does anybody here have a single job and report to a single person, right? The person inside the black box, honestly, is the one that people don't realize have to manage all of their relationships, which might take up 120% of their time alone. So a lot of times we have to be sort of empathetic about how we can communicate as a team, so that way there's no shade on things that we should really care about. Like, what if somebody walked down the hallway and said, give me $100? Why do I have to give you $100? It's like if somebody was just taking 20s out of your wallet every day, wouldn't you say, can you please stop taking 20s out of my wallet every day? Try to make that same sense of somebody asking for $100 is like somebody asking to have a meeting with you. Or maybe a group of people that should be working on one project to help the company instead of being in a meeting just because somebody's expectation was, we thought you were doing something else. So it's really important to over-communicate. I really like this, I forgot to put his name, but this guy by the name of Joel Spolsky, who, I don't know if you guys have heard of Joel on software.com, anybody? But he uses this analogy of there's finite time and attention. So think of like a month or a week of your life as a box. And all these blocks are different tasks and activities and things that you care about. And you know that a box only has a certain amount of cubic inches to it, right? You can't have like a 700-hour week, at least not in this Euclidean world. But ultimately, we need to care about putting the right blocks into the box. And like I said, that could be a day, a week, or a month of your life. And if everything that goes in the box works, then that's great. But the problem, the thrust of what I'm trying to say is, I want to try to make sure that the blocks that never go into your box are really stupid. That way you don't have to take them out. How do you make sure they were never there in the first place? All that stuff is not easy to manage. I know this, because I'm not perfect either. Neither of us are. But as long as we're making a positive, if you have a positive view of how your day is going to go and how you're going to manage what you focus on and what you choose not to focus on, because if you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to a lot of other things. And just being aware of that is critically important. And I gotta tell you guys, I didn't even know that I was doing this. But you can either say yes to something, you can say no to something, or you can renegotiate it. And I think renegotiation is really kind of like the life hack to being like, okay, this project's like kind of okay, but if I turn it just like 45 degrees, I can turn it into something I really am excited to work on. But one thing you gotta ask yourself is, who gets your attention right now? Who's allowed to take your time any time of the day? I know you guys are thinking like, oh, well, I have my boss, right? Boss, and she can jump in any time, I'll be there. And then throwing away the junk that you know is junk, or maybe just putting it all in a folder and starting over. Or you could be like, just delete your email entirely and be like, I'm done, out of here. This isn't just about email, really, because I don't really want to sound email-centric, but this isn't just about Ding, it's about re-examining where your time and attention goes throughout the week and finding out where these little leaks are that's slipping away. Does this ever happen to you? You're walking down the hallway, and Henderson comes up and is like, hey, I got a question. It's just 30 seconds. And you're like, oh, no, I'm really busy, I can't right now. And they're like, oh, okay, fine. We'll make a meeting, okay? So you go over to your calendar on your phone, or you go over to Google Calendar, and you make a meeting for your 30-second question. Most of the time, by default, the meeting goes to, have you guys can probably make 30-second meetings, right? But what happens when you make a meeting in regular calendar on the phone or Google Calendar? You know what happens?
Turns into 30 minutes.
It turns into an hour-long appointment. So the whole world, I mean, generally, all of a sudden people start to think that a meeting needs to be an hour long. Think about the defaults in your life. The things that you can accept really need to be valuable and important to you. Think about, is this going to help me or pay dividends to me in the long run? Because I know the alternative is not what I want. So saying yes or no or maybe, or like I said before, if you can renegotiate it into something where everybody's on the same page, and there's sort of like a little bit of sacrifices going along the way for everybody. But ultimately, you just need to own it. And letting your whole team know, even if somebody new comes in, explaining the culture of how everything works, I think is really important. But I know there's times when some people feel a victim of this with the emails or with the SMS texting, is they feel like they're treading water in quicksand. But when you take a step back and you think, what do I really need to do? What is urgent versus important? Have you guys ever met 27 priority guy? 27 priorities? That doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, you might have 27 things you're thinking about, but a priority means you're doing it or it's done, at least to me. But a lot of times when people have unrealistic expectations, or they're thinking about, what is this person thinking about me? When you're thinking that way, like, what does that person think about me? What does that person think about me? What about that? How did I say that? Did it come across right? Anytime you're thinking on that kind of wavelength, it's not going to help you feel happy and fulfilled at the end of the day. Because you don't want to make yourself vulnerable with trying to put yourself in somebody else's brain, because you can't. I mean, we're all different, we're all unique, we all have our amazing talents and gifts that we have to use. Be your best genuine self that you can be, seriously. And remember to live life in the present moment, which time and time again, I keep getting reminded that because I'm always so impatient. I am still working on that. But I need to remember to live in the present moment and just take things one day at a time. Because that's all we have, is the present moment. And I really enjoy being here. This place is gorgeous, and you guys are fantastic, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much.